Hello all, how are you doing? I am excited to do this. I decided this at the last minute. It was an hour ago, and I thought I really need to do something that's going to be more than just me doing a demo. So anyway, what we're here today to do is, if you're new to oil pastels, we are going to cover things that I wish I had known. Sorry, I just had some, what did I do with them? Welcome to my world. I already lost it. I lost my gloves. I don't know what I did with them. Let me grab some real quick. There we go. They're just black. Okay. Welcome. What we're going to do is we are going to create the reference image that is in your upper right hand corner of the screen. You'll see a tomato there on the vine. If you want a printable, or you want to see it, have your own copy, there's one on my community page on my YouTube website, or my YouTube page, and it's the second photo that announces this video, this demo. I don't have a finished sample. Supply list. This is going to be the fun part. You don't have to have all this stuff. You do not have to have it. A lot of people start out with the Pastel oil pastels. This is probably recognizable. They're very inexpensive. They also have an odor to them. They smell sort of like a petroleum. You can usually find them at Walmart. I think Target has it. You can get them online just about anywhere. They're very inexpensive, but they're not the best ones. You can spend anywhere from just a little bit to a lot. I'll just cover these real quickly. I won't go into depth. These are Paul Rubens. These are wonderful. You can find these in large sets on Amazon. There's also a link in the description that goes to my website that lists all these materials, and they are affiliate links. They don't cost you anything, but they help me earn a little bit to help me keep making these videos. And then there's Mungio, which are a little smaller. You can see. But they, either one of those is wonderful. If you want to start getting a little more expensive, and you can't get those at Walmart or Target, you have to go to Amazon or to the manufacturer. And it's Paul Rubens and Mungio Gallery. If you want something a little more expensive, you can start looking at the Sennelier, which is what these are. They are very soft, very soft. And then there's also Holbein, which they come, I ordered individual sticks and not the full set. That's one thing you can do with the higher end oil pastels, is you can order just a few and see if you like them, and then go and buy a whole set. Let me find a spot for this. That's a good spot. And this is the Paul Rubens. It does have light fastness, and the Sennelier does have the pigment colors. You have to look really close on their brochure, but it's there. I know that's important to some people. It tells you exactly what pigments they used. And this is that's unimportant. Okay, paper. What we've got here, what we've got here, this is a piece of this paper that you can get at, I bought this actually at Walmart. It's not very expensive. It's, I want to say maybe $5 or so for this. It's watercolor paper, which is cold pressed, which means it's a watercolor paper that has a texture to it. I don't know if you can see that on camera, but it's got a little bit of like bumpiness to it. I don't care for the bumpiness. I wish I'd gotten the hot press of this. And in order to remember, if you're not familiar with hot press and cold press, hot press is like using an iron. It gets the wrinkles out. So if it's hot press, it's smooth. But this is very inexpensive. It's acid free. It's fairly easy to find. But I don't like it with that texture on it. So what I do is I put gesso on it, which is like a sealer, and it will prime the paper to not absorb as much of the oil pastel and be kind of greasy. And it will also make the paper a little smoother. And you can usually find gesso anywhere that sells art supplies. You don't have to have this though. You can just use the paper straight out of the pad. It's not that big of a deal. This is a sketchbook. This is the one I'm going to use today. It is Bristol paper, which is sort of like it's not like poster board. It's lighter weight than poster board, but it's still heavy and it can take a beating. And then I like to keep some of these around. These are just shop towels. Again, you can get these at Walmart, wherever. They're readily available. They don't have a lint on them when you use them, but what I use them for is, see how that's, I can just wipe that off. And I have a fresh end of the pastel to use. So that's what I do with those. It's also nice to have something that is a sharp tool. This is a sculpting tool. This is an awl that you can get, an AWL that you can get. I got this one at Walmart, in fact, and it's just got a very sharp point to it. And that's so you can scratch into it. I might do a little bit of it with this. I have a couple of tools that I've repurposed for that reason. There is a difference between student grade and artist grade. Student grade would definitely be more like the Pentel. It's questionable on the Paul Rubens and the Mungio because they are acid free. But if you want true professional oil pastels, you want to get the Sennelier or the Holbein. But either one of those is going to cost you quite a bit. And if you don't know if you even like them, I do need to note, when you look up pastels, make sure that you put the word oil in there, because I know when I've looked up books, it comes up with a lot of the soft pastels. The soft pastels are more powdery. They have a gum triganthemum gum. They have a gum in them that binds the powder together to make the pastel, where this has an oil. Okay. One other thing, and I'm going to get started, are books. These are my two favorite books on oil pastel, if you want to get more information on them. This one is out of print. You'll have to go to someplace like thrift books or half price books, or look at the used books on Amazon. But this one is, oops, sorry, it's very dated. I always show this woman's hairstyle because it's definitely a no, I'm not finding it. Well, you can just see it's very 80-ish, the artwork and the style. And then, anyway, and then there's this one. This one is very popular. You'll find this one on Amazon in new condition. This is a good one for the money. It covers color, how to mix them, the whole shebang. I feel like the first one covers a little more than this one does, but it's more available. And if you're just getting started and you want something to study at home, then I would say that's the best to go with. And also, you don't need the same supplies I have today. Just use whatever you have. Hi, Pierre. We have chat. We have people in chat. If you hear me answering questions, that's where they're coming from, is we have a chat while this is going on. Also, these can be used for blending. This and, oh, there they are. Q-tips can be used for blending. Optional is a little bit of like mineral spirits, or I've heard of people using baby oil, and to me that's just, no. But this is just my container of, it's got some mineral spirits in it, and we'll use that when we want to do some blending. Then once we get it all done and everything's finished and we're done messing with all the colors and doing everything, then I'll go over the how you store them, what you can do to protect them from smearing. Let me straighten that up. We have some beautiful reds here, and I'm just going to start with the tomato here. I'm looking at my reference photo. I have my reference photo up here on an iPad. And when you first want to draw it, you may want to draw it so it's straight up and down, but it's not. You see there's a little bit of a tilt to it. And you want to work from hard pastel to softer or oilier. Just like you do when you oil paint, you want to work from lean to fat. And I'm just going to go ahead and draw this all in with my there's another tomato back there. And then there's a leaf here. I love tomato leaves. They have such character. And I'm not doing this exact. I don't want it to look, for myself, I don't want it to look exactly like the photo. If that's what you want to do on yours, you just go right ahead. My purpose today is more to show you how these work than to create a exact replica of the photo. Okay, so I got my tomatoes drawn in. You can see this one. This one's back here. It's got a leaf over it, just like in the photo. You want to start from light to dark, and that's because if you try to put the light tones over darks, you can get a little muddy. It can be done if you know how to use the fat over lean principle, where you scratch things out and put one down. But just for our sake, we're going to say that we're going to go from light to dark. So what I'm going to do, I don't really like that red. That red is kind of, I don't know. Here's it, see? And the reason I have this tape here also is I really like the look of the clean edges when I take it off. So I'm going to go ahead and just block this color in. Tomato, tomato. And if you look at the shape, because it's a sphere, it is darker at the bottom where the light is hitting less than it is at the top. Now I'm not pressing down very hard with this pastel. I'm using it sort of like you would a crayon at this point. And just doing some, okay. I'm going to put this to the side so I know this is the red that I used that time. I tend to pull out a lot of them, and it gets to be where I have them laying out all over the place and I don't know which is which. Now here's one I need to clean off. I'm also wearing gloves because I do this a lot, and it's not good for me to have these pigments against my skin all the time. I'm too messy. That's more of a gray than a green. Where'd you go, green? And there's a pretty light green. Another light one. You won't get the exact color in your set. You have to make the color that you want. So this is a darker green. So I'm gonna kind of an earthy green. These have labels on them that say the name. This just is dark green. I've torn off the number, but this is a Mungio dark green. So I can go in and just start putting this. And remember the stems of the leaves, or the stems of the leaves. The stems are sort of, think of them as like straws. They're round. So one side is going to be darker than the other if the light's shining on them. I'm going to go ahead and block that. Oh, this is such a nice pastel. It's got a nice smooth texture. I really like these pastels. And see how it went just right over it, right over that red. And there's a little stem in there. Well, let's go ahead and do this down here. This is dark down here. And you can make your work as expressive as possible, as you like. Meaning you can leave all these marks showing. You don't have to get it all smooth and exact unless you want to. It's totally up to you. This is your tomato. Boy, that's something you don't say very often, huh? This is your tomato. I don't know about you all, but it's warm in Kansas today. So I may have to start the fan so I don't melt. By the way, do not leave these in your car unless it's guaranteed it's not going to get warm in there, because they will melt. I'm just cleaning this off here. Then I can go in, just go over some of that. And I'm getting those marks by just pressing a little bit harder. And see, by giving that one side a dark and one a lighter, it makes it look more two-dimensional. My main art medium when I started out was soft pastels. Sorry for the camera shaking there. I don't usually have it this low. The arm is extended quite a ways. Hopefully that won't happen all the time, or won't bother you. And see how the red is just kind of mixing in there? I'm not worrying about it too much, because if you look at the color wheel, red and green are opposite of each other, which means I may be adding a little red in there anyway to give it some shading, because adding just a touch of red will make the green darker. And just trust the process. This may look like a hot mess right now as you're going, but it'll all fall together in the end. I'm just blocking these in really just loosely, not being too particular. There's just something very nice about a nice smooth oil pastel. See how those are kind of blending together? Let me go ahead and show you. You can use a Q-tip and just very lightly go over it. And see how that blended? And because these are so inexpensive, you can just use a different end for every color. You can also put them in the mineral spirits, and then the mineral spirits will melt the, let me dip that in there just a little bit. It's just, I covered the end of it. Let me show you on this over here and see how it just, it melts. And you can smooth it out that way. Again, I've heard of people using baby oil, but I don't know. It just, I would worry about, well, when you think about it, putting baby oil on a piece of paper, you know, what do you get? It's just a oily mess. This red is a little darker, but also a little splotchy. It's not as smooth as that green one was. This is a Paul Rubens. If you look at the tomato too, there are some yellows and some oranges in it. It's not all red. I think I'm going to use that Q-tip in here to smooth this out, because this is, that's rough. Yeah, I got a little on my skin there. You just barely need to put it in there. You just barely need to get your Q-tip wet. I want that one mark. It looks really rough right there. I don't want it to look rough. I will tell you, I was very, very nervous about doing this today, because this is going to be evergreen content, and meaning it's going to be around for a long while. And I get very nervous speaking to people. I'm glad Paul was here, or Pierre, I'm sorry. Familiar face. See how it's really reflecting there on the, I'll get this leaf in there. We're a very relaxed bunch around here, so if my dog starts barking or you hear my husband in the background, If you have any questions and you're watching the replay, just feel free to put them in the comments. We are not gatekeepers around here. We like to share information. And that'll work. Again, I'm not doing this exact. I'm just getting some of that color down. Went in and I lost that, so I can come back in and draw that out for myself with this sharp tool. Now I know where the edge of that leaf is. And see how when you scratch it away, the color underneath there comes out? You can use that to your advantage. You could lay down a really bright color underneath there. And then just scratch it away. And remember, red and green are complementary colors. So if I take a little bit of this green and I add it, see, it doesn't really look like green. It just makes it a darker value. And I can go in with my Q-tip and kind of blend that together too. Especially with the mineral spirits. I'm not going to do that yet. I want to get some orangey in there. If you notice this, the highlight area on it, it's not just white. There's a slight color to it. And if you look sort of at the edges, at the edge of the highlight, I often will just get lost in thought and just start. I don't really like this red very much. I'm going to put that over there so it doesn't get. This is just like a pinky peach color. See how much my white has been used. I'm putting that there just for future use. I'm going to put that in because it's a really light value and it will work for the highlight areas. You could even just stop here, in my opinion, and it would be interesting, but we're going to keep going. Just kind of sketching that on there so it's and see how that's blending in with the back. You see it on the photo because it's got a little highlight around it. And I'm searching around for my, oh, it's right there. It's got a little white highlight there. And I can tell you right now, I'm probably going to overdo it on the white. But I can scratch it away. If I do it gently and not take off all that underneath, apparently I'm not doing it real gently, huh? Let me see if I have a... That's when you start looking at the really soft pastels. See how much these have been used? You definitely get your money's worth out of a set of oil pastels. This Haya, I believe, was $45 on Amazon. Oh, excuse me. Had to have a drink. It's pop. Mountain Dew. But look at these reds. And they're just very soft. Now see where I put that green in there? You can just blend it in this way too. By putting that red over it. And it just makes a darker value of red. There's a highlight right in there too I missed, where the sun's kind of coming through the leaves, I believe. I switch between brands. I'm not exclusive to just one through the whole process. Excuse my husband in there. I love it when it starts getting like that, kind of mushy and yeah. My AC is coming on. Welcome to Kansas. I have a lot of videos with oil pastel, but I believe the most popular one is one on comparing brands. It's at least a year old, so I always give people the caveat that brands and formulas can change. Kind of lost that one right there altogether, didn't I? But I compare several different brands. It was fun getting to test all these things out. Is everybody having a good weekend? It's Saturday here. What have I done today? I was in the middle of changing my sheets and I was like, oh, I need to go live. So it's a fresh sheet day. That's always nice. I put out some cinnamon rolls for later. Some of us that meet here semi-regularly are the Rhodes cinnamon rolls. We're addicted to them. They are so good. And you can see the tomatoes getting that round shape to it. I don't think I have my leaves. One great thing about oil pastels is they're very portable. You can take them, in your car, or if it's not real warm, if you're camping, but if you do want to take them with you, you can. You just have to put them on ice, which sounds strange, but it works. I have it's like an ice pack. Those ones you put in the freezer and put them put the whole box into like one of those, I'm trying to tear the paper off, into one of those bags that you get for your groceries, to carry frozen food home. And they're usually good for quite a while that way. Okay, I'm getting messy here, which is normal for me. I like this tomato back here, I think, better than I like that one. There are water drops on these in the photo. I'm not gonna. I could, but I don't wanna. I'm going to use my artistic license and pretend like they're not there. It's too pink, isn't it? This is more of the Haya oil pastel. And just kind of blend it in there. Okay, now see there, I'm getting it, it's getting muddy, and it should be like a bright red in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and just scrape that off. And this is supposed to be over that tomato back there. So I'm going to take all that and just scrape it off. Now I could use a palette knife. I could use this. I could use that all. Palette knife is a recent favorite of mine. See, it takes it off in larger quantities. It takes it all the way down. And then you can just smear that on your paper towel. But because I scraped that all the way down, I can now take one of these and go over it. And look how much cleaner it looks. And nobody would know you scratched that out. It's just a secret between you and your pastels. See what I said about spreading them all out everywhere? Same thing with the red, adding the green. If you add just a little bit of red up here, it'll make that green darker. You'll probably have the urge to put in like a brown or black, but it will make your pastels, they won't have as much life. Now the brown that I have, the value of it is not much darker than that, so it's not going to make much difference. I'm trying to find my brown. Hiya. And they're spelled H-A-I-Y-A. Put a little yellow in there. I don't think I have enough. I can put some yellow on that green too. I went over that area intentionally. Now I can go in there with this or my palette knife and I can scrape off just where I want to highlight. Because it's lighter underneath there on this one. If I had put purple underneath there or something, a bright purple, then the purple would come up. Whatever you put down on the first layer, it's like it and the paper get married. You can also use these on glass, on all kinds of different materials. You can play with them. The first pastels were crayons, and they were designed for children. And Sennelier was already known for being a master art materials. And so Picasso and, oh, that's such a pretty yellow. I almost hate to take that off there. Picasso, I can't remember who else it was. I want to say Brock, but I don't think it was. Henry Gates went to Sennelier and said, hey, we want an art material that we can use, that's portable, that we can, take out with us. Paints are a pain. We don't want to deal with that. We just want something that we can take out there, get down our idea, and go. So Sennelier came up with oil pastels. And you can buy a set from Sennelier that has the same colors that, well, it looks neon, doesn't it? That Picasso requested or got. Trying to smooth out some of this. Probably are getting the urge to put a lot of white in here. But the problem is if you do that, it can make your white look very flat, or your highlight look very flat. And if you look at things, highlights are not usually just a white, like the white dot in your eye that shows up where the light reflects out, or the highlight on a car, a shiny car. It has a little bit of color to it, which is why I put down that yellow. Very pale yellow. I'm trying to give this a little bit of form though. That's better. These are Paul Rubens white, because you'll find oftentimes you'll run out of whites really quickly. You can get a separate little box or set of just Paul Rubin white pastels, oil pastels. Now remember, this is not just one color. We mixed all those colors kind of together. So it's you didn't just take a stick out of the oil pastels and color it in like a coloring book. It has, you put value and I still think this needs to be a little darker under here on the tomato. Kind of orangey or a greenish olive green. Or an orange, yeah, you know what I mean. You know what I'm saying. I do have a link to my website in the description. I have been failing to push my website, and I have it just sitting there. There's work on it, but it's just, and I'm trying to be better about it. Also, I looked this morning and I am 410. Oh man, I have to look. From getting fully monetized. So your being here and watching this really helps. Here, I can pull it up real fast so I'm accurate. Well, nope, because I shut it out. It's somewhere around 400. 400, 450. And I'm very grateful to the people that have already been there and already watched things and helped me out with that. I want this to be an income. At the bare minimum, I want to be able to pay for my art supplies. Wouldn't that be awesome? I think I need I'm going to take a little bit of that red in there. See how that makes it the green darker too? But there are all kinds of shades of green, not just apple green and I'm going to go back over this red where I'm putting it so it blends in a little better with the green. My goal is for this month, it's June 7th? Yes, June 7th, 2025 when I'm doing this. and my goal is to become monetized this month. Which is going to happen, right? You have to think positive. If I'd really pushed it last month, like I should have, what I'm doing is I'm just going over this really lightly, and it just blends in. And this is a Mungio, and it just blends in with that red, so it's not quite so harsh. And it just makes it look like a darker green. I did a painting the other day of frogs on lily pad, putting the red on the tips of those green lily pads was just awesome. Okay. You can buy also oil pastels that are the sets. Like I said, the one that's supposed to be what Picasso used. You can also buy sets that are designed just for landscape artists or portraits. They're very addictive. Now you can kind of make out that leaf there a little better. And I could go over all this with a Q-tip and those mineral spirits and just smooth it all out. I'm going to keep working on this. To me, it's not as far as I'd like it, but if you get to a point and you're like, I'm done, that's good enough. I don't need to. I missed getting these leaves. Are these, what are those called? Where the bloom was. What are those leaves called? Once you get to where you want to quit, and you want to keep it, sorry, I'm just enjoying this way too much. Oops. Use this one. This one's softer, and we're working fat over lean, right? Where's that one I had that was just smushy? Ah, here's smush. There we go. If you get this to where, okay, this is, I'm done with this. I'm not going to do any more. you spray it with fixative. Now this is something that you can get at Walmart or any craft store, and it works. It works well. It works well on pencil, charcoal, all that good stuff, soft pastels. And there's also this, which is specifically designed for oil pastel. I'm not affiliated with Sennelier, but I do like their products. I noticed when I fixed something the other day, the Sennelier does not have a gloss to it. This has a gloss to it. It's not terrible. It's not in your face, but it's definitely there. I'm still dying to get that little highlight in there. Come on, baby. I'm taking the paper off of this, so maybe I can. The Sennelier and the Haya are both shaped, they call it bullet shaped, so that one end is kind of like a cone. Trying to see if I had any that were still full. And the other end is flat. I want that flat end for this. And I don't want that to be there all by itself. So I'm going to put a little bit lighter back here too, so it doesn't look like it's just and it's sort of a rule in art that if you put something, you put a color in one place, you put it in at least another or two. 3 is always a great number. Because right now, if I were to sit here and put, let's say blue, I put a blue bug right there. That blue bug is going to pop out, and that's what you're going to see. And we want it to be harmonious. We don't want it to be, in that case, I would add a little blue to the green and make it so that blue was included elsewhere. And I'm getting right up to that, yep. That tape. In one way you can, there's several different ways you can transfer this. If you have a projector, you can get them fairly inexpensively anymore on TikTok Shop or Amazon, and they're just little, and you can do it digitally. If you don't want to mess with spending the time to draw something all the way out. Now, I'm not saying drawing skills are not important, because you do. Because if you don't know your drawing skills, even if you have something like that, it's not going to help in the end. You'll be able to tell. Somebody with an eye would be able to say, yeah, that wasn't. But it is a way to get started. You can also do the carbon or the charcoal on one side of paper, and then Like if this had charcoal on, let's say on this side back here, I could put it down and then draw, and it would leave the lines that I pressed over. But I am a big believer in drawing skills are the basis of all visual arts. Finally getting that dark enough. This is like a magenta. I'm just very gently putting that in there. If you are brand new to art and you were told red, yellow, and blue were the primaries, I strongly suggest you look up color theory. There's a lot of information, great information on YouTube and elsewhere that will give you much better foundation. I kind of like that texture that's coming up, where that looks. Like I said, I like it mushy and this has more of a, comes over a little more. I cleaned that yellow off because it picked up a lot of green, and I didn't want it to transfer over. And I'm just doing like little circles sort of to kind of blend that in together. And I think this line that I put here is too wide, so I'm gonna take that down just a little bit. You can go in there and clean up your edges. I've kind of ignored that little loop right there, haven't I? And we get some darker at the top. And that's way too yellow in there. See how you can just get it nice and clean, if that's important to you. I'm gonna get this this part right here, get it looking more of a green than what it does. It looks, I put red on there, but it's a little too red. There we go. We can just keep going as long as you want to. I have other works in this sketchbook, and what I do, because if I close this right now, this is just going to transfer onto this other page. What I do is I put a piece of wax paper over it. Come on. And just tape it at the top in this same area that I taped here. And if I wanted to put some of those little droplets in there, I could see, I didn't get it. I can scrape that off. Where's my maroon? Where'd you go? There it is. And you can get some of those little droplets on there. I want that darker around it, so some droplets will show up. Just here and there. I could put one over here. There's a little one right there. There's one right there. I'm not being real particular about light and dark areas on the droplets. But you can just use something like this to up here. There's a big droplet right here. And we could put some on the leaves and all that. Over here. They're kind of blurry back here. They're not, this area isn't really in focus. So they, and this leaf should be coming up here. So I can fix that real quick. And that goes. Now if I were using acrylic paints, I would not be able to do that, because that would be dry. You could paint over it, by then. But these will always be malleable. To some degree. I've seen people frame these under glass, and what happens is you have to be careful because the glass on the inside will get like an oily film, and you have to take it out of the frame every so often and clean that up. It has been suggested to just exhibit the work, you know, as it is, spray some fixative on it and let it go. So that's an option. You know, put it in a frame that's so you can hang it, but not necessarily have anything over it, over this part. And I've seen people comment that as long as they used a lot of fixative, they don't have any trouble. I haven't had the nerve to try that yet. I haven't spent a lot of time on these leaves, so they're going to be a little wonky. You can also spray it with fixative when it starts getting thick like this, and it will give it a little bit of texture to grab onto the pastel so that you can just keep going. Also, just caveat too, if you do use fixative, make sure that you go outside to use it because it's very toxic to breathe, and or wear a mask. I want this not to be as that's not the color I wanted, as solid looking as it is. I want it to be so I'm softening some of those edges. I could just go in there and blur it, blend it with a paper towel with my finger. Let me get a clean paper towel. At least so we've done that on this one. And just put your finger in there and then blend it a little bit. I don't really have a preference on blending. I don't do a lot of blending. I tend to like the marks that show. Even the when I scrape on them and it scrapes it off. don't have this vine right here thin enough. I wasn't paying much attention to what this is back here, so I think I'm just going to, I'm going to blur that back there. It's just going to be very abstract. I almost did a landscape. One of my grandsons, second to the youngest, is artsy, and he sent me a bunch of pictures he took on a car ride. He's 10, and asked if it was something I could use, and there was just such a nice abstract quality to it that I almost used them for this. And if anybody has any questions, again, if you're on the replay, just feel free to ask. If you want to take this photo and work on it, use this as a reference photo for yourself. This was an AI image. This is not something that has any copyright on it. So if you want to use it, by all means, feel free. Oh, that's nice. See how these marks are down here? I really like that. Okay, I think I've covered just about everything I cover right now. I'm making that. See, I don't really like those droplets. Do I leave them or do I take them? Let's see if I can make them better. That one looks triangular. See, I like those type marks. See those marks? Just to me, that's but that's just a personal preference. You can do it however you want. You can take the oil pastels also. There's so many different techniques. I think I have a video on it too. You can just cover this or a small paper, however much, with oil pastel. Just scribble in there, and then press on the back, just like we did with, just like we did with the charcoal. Let me get that line back up. There we go. Just like we did with the charcoal, and you can transfer an image on your paper that way. Let's see if I've missed anything. A common issue is pressing too hard too quick. If you saw when I first started, I just did it very lightly, and then as I built it up to the heavier, thicker, oilier pastels, that's when I started pressing down and had the, if you press down right at the beginning, you're filling up the surface of the paper with the oil pastel, that you may want to change the color, you know, or if you do want it that color, you can come back later once you've figured out where all your it's all personal preference though. Warm versus cool. If you look at this, this is a warm. There's some cool areas in here. Cool is more like the blues and the purples, and there are warm ones. It's complicated. And sometimes people will argue over which blue is warm and which is cool. So it's I would go by your gut, is my opinion. To me, this is warm right here. This highlight area where the yellow is. And then down here, this is cool in these shadows where it's a darker value too. But the darker value doesn't necessarily mean that it's cool. It could be a warm shadow. This has nice value contrast. Like I said, this is a really dark value down here. And then you get this highlight on here that helps give it the roundness of a tomato. Negative space. We've got some negative space in here. Your tomato is filling up this area and this area, but there's space in between there that you really can't see leaves. You can't see any type of vegetation. Ooh. That ooh was because I had a little more reddish on that than I wanted. I added the green in here because they're complementaries of the red, so that's why I put that green to darken the red in there. It cools it down too. If you've got like a really hot red, it neutralizes it. It makes it less vibrant. I'm looking at my notes to see if I forgot anything. We are definitely nearing toward the end. If you enjoyed this, if you got anything out of it, if you would give it a thumbs up, barring my hitting the camera and knocking it out of whack. But we'll pretend like that didn't happen. But I haven't covered all the techniques you can do with oil pastel. There is a video that I do cover. I think it's 10 or 12 different techniques you can do. I'm noticing this. See how these are the same value in here? It's hard to tell which is on top of the other. So I need to come in there with some of that red like this and make that edge come forward a little. And then I'll blend it out. Yeah, does anybody have any questions or anything as we're winding things up? Or do you want to share what you're working on? There we go. Okay. So I guess, for right now anyway. See that right there? What is that? What? Where is that? That doesn't even show up on my photo. I need to get rid of that. Goodbye. So long. Farewell. So sad to see you go, but it's gone. I like this to be a little darker, I think. I do paint in oils a lot. On Mondays, we do a Master Study Monday where we choose an artist and I say we, but it's me. We choose an artist and we do artwork in their style. And there's a playlist. Sorry, I'm getting deep in thought again. I don't usually do this mineral spirit thing with. Let's see if we can get that. But anyway, there's other art mediums, but you'll primarily see oil pastel and oil paint on this channel. See, it's starting to get kind of gloppy. So I could just switch to another one. You can do this without mineral spirits also with a Q-tip and see if that's something. If you've never used oil pastels before, I think it's wonderful to sit there and just do swatches and just play. Just see what it'll do. You don't have to do anything that's too committed. You can just play. We give you permission. You have an official artist license to do that. And then I'm going to take this tape off of here. I taped this strangely because it I didn't want it to move. That was me clamping that shut. But if you take one of these without the mineral spirits, see, that's why I use gloves. It just gets do this somewhere where you can see. It'll do it, but there's a lot of resistance on it. I don't particularly care for it, but if it works for you for what you're doing, more power to you. It's just finding what works for you is what matters. There are no art police going to come to your door and say, did you put watercolor over your pastels? Just have fun. There's so few things in life you can just have fun with. Just enjoy it. If you don't enjoy it, what's the point? See how that gives just a nice clean edge? I love that part. If you can carve out 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever you can carve out, if it makes you happier. I mean, think about it. You spend say $50 on a set. Let's say you bought these Haya or one set of these Paul Rubens. That's $50. But you can use inexpensive paper. You get a sketchbook for, you know, like this one for maybe $15 on Amazon, or get something that, you know, just whatever works for you. Some of that bees paper, some of this, and use it. So you've spent probably what, $60, $75? Think of what else you spend $60 or $75 on that will give you entertainment and joy for years. These pastels last forever, it seems like. This barely even scratched the surface of using these. And you can order individual sticks. You can just get yourself a set of 3 or 4. Go look up the color theory and get the cyan blue and magenta. Whoops, I'm dropping pastels. And just start mixing them. I mean, they're, you know, a couple of dollars a piece. Think of it as therapy. What does a therapy session cost? Oh, I left out that whole set down there. I got these all mixed together. Oh well, they all wind up getting used together anyway. One really nice thing about this set of Mungio, this wooden box right here, is it comes in this wooden box. It's not great made, but it's still it's great protection for it. But I think that's it for today. Like again, Monday I do Master Study Monday. And I believe it's Monet? Yes, Monet is this week. I'll do a portrait he did. I don't think it's a self portrait. Cyan, magenta, and yellow are the colors that you'll want to buy. You will get the most colors out of those than any other. Don't buy red, yellow, and blue. Get cyan, magenta, and yellow. Cyan's like that bluish green kind of. Yeah. But you got this. Jenna's here. Jenna's awesome. go check out her channel. She's a writer. If writing's something that you're interested in. Speaking of therapy, there you go. Alright, I'm going to let y'all go. Thank you for being here. And I appreciate you. If you watch the replay and you have any questions, again, feel free to put them in the comments and I will answer them as quickly as possible. I am trying to reach 4,000 hours and I'm about 400, what did I say, 410, something like that, away from hitting that goal. So I'm going to take off that reference image. Whoops, where'd you go? There it goes. Because when you look at the art, when you look at your art, you're not going to have that picture hanging next to it. You need to worry about this. So, good job, people. Be proud of yourselves. And I hopefully will see you in another video. I'm going to go do some planning and get the rest of June figured out. And we need to have some more tutorials and lessons in oil pastel and in oil paint. And maybe drawing. Maybe we'll do some drawing. If you're looking for a budget of just getting started in art, drawing is definitely the way to go. Because like I said, drawing is the basis of all the fine arts, visual fine arts. And I will let you all go. I'll get off my soapbox and just mosey away. Alright, bye all. Thank you for being here.